Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to the channel. Today we are playing with the new Hero Art My Monthly Hero Premium Kit. So let's go ahead and get started. So within the Premium Kit, you're going to get this color layering stencil, which is absolutely so pretty. This is the stencil we're going to be using today. So there's 3 pieces to this stencil set. And I'm also going to be using the full pads of the Taffy, Lemon Drop, and Splash reactive inks. So let's go ahead and start getting pretty here. So I did bring in my little magnetic mat here. So that's going to hold my paper and my stencils in place. So I just actually kind of line this up in the middle and then I just start layering on my stencils. So you'll know what stencil you're using. The larger one that has a larger holes, it's stencil A, but each stencil is layered A, B, and C. So the first thing I want to do is put down my magnets, kind of hold everything in place, and then I'm going to start with my first color. Now I am just putting down a very light layer of this color because we're going to build up this color. So I went ahead and I used my Taffy. Now I'm going to come in and use my Lemon Drop. Again, putting a very light layer of this color down, just so I can have a light wash of color across my card. Remember, I have 3 stencils here, so I need to build up my color. Next, I'll come in with that splash, and I am using the Hero Arts blending brushes for this. Now, I picked these colors because they're in the kit, but also when they overlap, they make pretty colors. So the Taffy and the Lemon Drop make a nice orange, and the splash and the Taffy makes a pretty color purple. So this is gorgeous just like this. So you could just leave it like this. But of course, this is a 3-step layering stencil. So I'm going to bring in my stencil number 2. Now this stencil kind of gives an outline to the image. So don't think you have to line this up perfectly because that's not the goal here. It gives you a really pretty outline. So I'm going to go back and use the same colors. This time I'm just adding a more concentrated amount of color. So as you can see, I'm really coming in with that Taffy because that's going to give me the outline and then also some of the details to my shells here. Next, I'll come back in with that Lemon Drop, making sure to overblend into that Taffy color. Because remember, when I mix those two together, I get like this pretty orange color. So when you're doing a blending and you're doing blending like this, just make sure to overlap your colors. Once I get all of the Lemon Drop where I need it to be, and as you can see, I'm really blending it into that Taffy and getting that pretty shade of orange, I'm going to come in with the splash again and really rub that in. So as you can tell on the stencil, I am using a good amount of ink here because remember, I'm just using 3 colors. So I need to build up the intensity, and how I can manage that is by adding more ink. Come in soft and then add more, and then you'll be able to blend in everything beautifully. So now I can remove stencil number 2, and we have this gorgeous background. Again, you could stop here if you wanted to, but I'm coming in with the 3rd stencil, and this stencil really adds detail. Now with this stencil, you can come in with glitter paste if you wanted to. You could also emboss this, but I chose to use the Unicorn White ink by Hero Arts, and I'm really rubbing this into my brush pretty well so I can get a nice concentrated color of that white unicorn ink. And you can really see it on the stencil. You can see I have a lot of ink here because I need to get through those smaller little holes. Now I can go ahead and slide this off, and look how gorgeous our shells are. They're so pretty. And you can see by having that little bit of that outline from that 2nd stencil, it really makes these stencils pop. Now, because I did use the white unicorn ink, I do want to make sure to heat set this because that ink is more of a pigment ink. So if you are using the white unicorn ink, you do want to heat set this ink, or you can set it aside to dry. All right, next I'm going to work on the sentiment. I chose to use sandpaper today because these colors really remind me of the beach, and what's at the beach? It's sand, right? So I decided to grab the Hello Friend sentiment out of the kit, and I'm going to stamp this right back in that unicorn ink. This is just going to pull some of that white from the card panel that we did. Now, I will make sure to link all the products that I used below, just in case you guys want to pick up everything. And for this one here, because it is white unicorn ink, this ink is going to stay wet a little bit longer. So that's going to give me the opportunity to actually put some embossing powder on this. So the embossing powder that I'm using is the Hero Art White Detail Embossing Powder. And I'm just going to go ahead and tap that on there. And since I only did a little section here, I was able to pour that right back into my container. I'm going to go ahead and swipe away any excess that I might have. And then again, I'm going to heat set this. This is what's so great about using that unicorn ink, is that you can go ahead and emboss, or not emboss, I'm sorry, pour embossing powder on top of it and heat set it. All right, once I have this completed, it is time to move on to our finished card. Now, the card design that I came up with, I wanted to use a 5x7 card because I wanted to use a nice 6x6 bold print. So this is the Woodgrain bold print stamp, and I'm going to remove everything out of my MISTI and go ahead and put this in. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I use some of that sand cardstock, and you'll see that a little bit later when I framed out my image that we created earlier with our stencils. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up, and what I'm trying to do is line it up reasonably, excuse my curly hair, reasonably between the middle of this 5x7 card. I am going to trim this down, but I just want to make sure that this is like in the middle so I can trim from the top and the bottom. Now for the ink, I'm going to use sand ink with this because remember, I've already used sandpaper. So I'm keeping my color combinations very, very simple on this. And I'll go ahead and apply that all over this wood grain background stamp. I love these large stamps, especially if you just have a white card base and you need to add a little bit of something to it. Using those bold prints really allows you to add like a little bit of texture to your backgrounds and also have it coordinate with some of the other products from Hero Arts. So I did tape down my card before I stamp this because I do want my card to stay closed and not like move when I'm pressing this down. So I can go ahead and press that down, and then I'm going to have this gorgeous wood grain backdrop for my little design. As you can see here, I went ahead and die cut out my stencil piece, and I die cut it out in an oval, and I used the oval frame from Hero Art. So this is a wood grain frame, and that just worked perfectly because now I have a wood grain background. So like I said, remember, I left the top and the bottom. All I need to do here is just trim down this card. Now the card is going to be bigger than a regular card panel, so I'll just make sure to put it in a larger envelope. And I just wanted to say, if you're new here, thank you for joining me today, and make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll know when I have another video up. So as you can see, I'm just taking off the top and the bottom that was left white. I can trim that down, and now I just have a nice wood grain background to put my panel on. And look how pretty that is. I love having the wood grain match the frame of my shell piece. And then I have my sand sentiment. So before I ended up doing this, I wanted to just add a little bit of color to this wood grain. So I am just using what is left over on my blending brushes that I used earlier, and I'm going to bring some of that color down onto the card panel. So look how pretty that is. Now I have that rainbow kind of effect on the back of my card panel as well. So at this point, we need to just go ahead and start putting our cards together. So I use my Hero Arts precision glue for this, and I'm just going to glue this down right to the center of this panel. I really love how this came out. Instead of using like a stark black, I like using the sand. And I didn't like the stark white of this panel. So again, I'm just using the residue of the ink that's left over on my brushes just to push that stark white back a little bit. Now I can add in my sentiment. I did want to leave my sentiment strip a little bit long so I can kind of bring it over to the middle of my seashells. So all I need to do at this point is just to grab my scissors, trim this down, and then I can go ahead and pop this up. Now I do have a bonus card over on my blog, and don't forget that there is a giveaway going on. So make sure to visit my blog so you can join in on the giveaway. You really don't want to miss this. And if you're not a subscriber to the kit, subscribe to the kit because you'll be guaranteed to have it every single month. I love the way this card came out, but I just want to show you within the kit this month, you're also going to get this gorgeous sequence pack. So I decided to add a little bit of shimmer to this card by adding just a bit of those sequins. And the sequins are absolutely gorgeous. So once I had this done, I thought I was complete because I love the little bit of the sparkle on the card, but I felt I needed just a little bit more. So I went ahead and I grabbed my white iridescent spray from Hero Arts, spritzed that on there just a little bit, and now I was quite happy with the way this card came out. All right, everybody, that is the card for today. Again, don't forget to head on over to the blog to join in for the giveaway. All right, everybody, I will see you in another video soon. Take care, everybody, and until next time, stay safe. Bye-bye.